Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I tried starting this and my camera was on slow-mo, so I don't think that's going to work. Let's go ahead and pray before we start this. God, thank you that we get to come together like this, even through a digital format. I pray that we would learn from your word and that you would show us something new. Amen. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently. There have been times where I've literally just sat and read 5 chapters, and I swear every time I get on here, we do it differently. But for today, I want to start with the notes that I had written in here about a year ago, maybe. Yeah, back in November. So this is how long I have been planning and putting off doing this video. I have notes on Exodus 18 I'm going to share with you. Then we're going to read the chapter. And then I'm going to give you 3 questions to think about that I'm going to answer, and then encourage you to think through and answer for yourselves. So the notes that I have, I will be looking down and periodically going back and forth. It says Exodus 18, Moses' father-in-law came to visit. Verses 8 and 9, celebrating what God has done. Verses 10 through 12, Jethro praises God. Question, what are you believing God for? Continue to believe and prepare with praise. I haven't read these, so I'm like, it's hitting me too. Delegating in leadership, verses 18b through 23. Oh my gosh. Important to notice, we already know Jethro is a man who honors God. His advice is more trustworthy. And then I wrote, kind of cool, he just came for a visit and became the catalyst for a new system of governance for the people. And then the last thing I wrote, be careful who you listen to, but let God use who he wants to use to lead you in a better way. Whoa. I'm not going to go into the details of what's going on in my life at the moment, but that hits. So let's read the actual chapter. Jethro's advice, Exodus 18. And this is the English Standard Version. Jethro, the priest of Midian, the priest of Midian? Literally, the church message from Sunday was about Midianites. Well, sort of. That's so interesting. Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Now Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, had taken Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her home, along with her 2 sons. The name of the one was Gershom, for he had said, I have been a sojourner in a foreign land. And the name of the other, Eleazar, for he said, the God of my father was my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to Moses in the wilderness, where he was encamped at the mountain of God. And when he sent word to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons with her. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare and went into the tent. Then Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the good that the Lord had done to Israel, in that he had delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Jethro said, Blessed be the Lord who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, and has delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because in this affair they dealt arrogantly with the people. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses, his father-in-law, before God. The next day, Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning till evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw that all that he was doing for the people, he said, What is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone, and all the people stand around you from morning till evening? And Moses said to his father-in-law, Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, they come to me, and I decide between one person and another, and I make them know the statutes of God and his laws. Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you're doing is not good. You and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out, for the thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to do it alone. Now obey my voice, I will give you advice, and God be with you. You shall represent the people before God and bring their cases to God. And you shall warn them about the statutes and the laws, and make them know the way in which they must walk and what they must do. Moreover, look for able men from all the people, men who fear God, who are trustworthy and hate a bribe, and place such men over the people as chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And let them judge the people at all times. Every great matter they shall bring to you, but any small matter they shall decide themselves. For it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you." Ooh, that's good. A lot of the times we're like expecting leaders or people over us to bear the burden for us. And a lot of times it needs to be just us dealing with whatever issues. Dealing wisely, of course, and biblically, but we need to stop expecting other people to handle our problems for us, is essentially what I'm trying to say. Now, where was I? If you do this, God will direct you. You will be able to endure, and all this people also will go to their place in peace. So Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And they judged the people at all times. Any hard case they brought to Moses, but any small matter they decided themselves. Then Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went away to his own country. I think that is so interesting. It's not that he meaning Jethro. I don't know why they over and over this version says Moses' father-in-law. Like, that's such a mouthful. Jethro, he came for this visit and created, just through basic wisdom, created this whole new system for how they handled problems and issues. And yeah, I just find that very interesting. Let's go back and look at what this tells us about God. So that is the first question. What does this tell you about God? What I'm seeing is they're talking a lot about how God set the Israelites free from Egypt, right? And of course, that's the biggest thing they'd ever seen. So they're just talking about it over and over again, which is amazing because they're talking about what God has done, and it was miraculous. I'm looking to see if there's anything else that stands out to me. The only other thing is I'm seeing where they, where did it go? Where it's talking about trying to make the people know the laws of God. And they're always going to Moses, and he's trying to tell them this is what God says, not necessarily what I say. At least that's what I'm getting from it. And I think in terms of the system that they're creating, it's putting in place of leadership people who are walking with God themselves, and not just doing what looks good or doing what looks like the right thing, but actually have relationship with God and are not only doing what they should do in a right relationship with God themselves, but also representing that to the people around them, which is so cool because that is very much something that I have been emphasizing in my own life and the people that I have influence with. It's just we need to be walking with God ourselves and not necessarily overemphasizing what other people say about God. I don't know if that makes sense. Do you guys know what I mean? I think the biggest thing, though, that I see is talking about what God did, saving them from the Egyptians, and then talking about having a straightforward relationship with God for the people for themselves. If that makes sense. So how do we apply this? That is the next question. How do you apply this chapter for yourself? I definitely would encourage you to take some time to think through that yourself. For me, it's pretty much what I just said, of encouraging people to know God for themselves, but also make sure that the people who are in leadership are walking with God and not just in it for their own reasons or natural skills in leading people or anything like that. It needs to be walking in obedience. So then the last thing, what is one verse stands out to you that you can focus on until we have another video, which who knows when that will be. It's very sporadic. But what verse can you focus on? I do love verse 18 where it says, you and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out, for the thing is too heavy for you. You're not able to do it alone. I kind of love that. And I also love 23 where it says, if you do this, God will direct you, you will be able to endure, and all this people also will go to their place in peace. But I kind of love 18 because of the reminder that it is that you can't just do it all by yourself. You have to have good, godly people working with you if you are trying to do something, anything, any kind of system or organization or really doing any kind of project. You need to have other people with you and you need to be moving in the same direction. And I would recommend that direction needs to be up to what God says. So that is everything for today. Thank you guys so much for being here, for watching. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you're new here, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye.